Oh. I have a headache.
Hey, Roger. What up?
Hi, what's up, babe?
Not much. Just another day at the races.
Are you intimately familiar with the Dominion lawsuit?
More or less, somewhat. Why?
Um, where's this link? Oh, I think I just had a civil. I don't know if this would be considered a civil procedure question. They
Sure.
asked for a summary judgment, and there were four different parts of it, and the court granted three out of four. The fourth one that it didn't
Yeah.
grant was a summary judgment related to the actual malice, which makes
Actual
sense
malice.
because it's probably for a court to determine, not for a judge, right? Assuming it's a contested thing, right?
Yeah.
What
So
um
summary judgment. Go ahead, sir.
how can you grant summary judgment on anything relating to defamation of a public figure or public institution without granting the actual malice? Like, what does summary judgment even grant?
Yeah. So step back for a second, and we can consider what a summary judgment motion even is.
Yeah, summary
It's like
judgment
kind of
is that everybody agrees on the facts, and if the facts are as they are, it's not in dispute with the law, so you just grant the win of the case, basically, right?
it's whether or not there's an issue of material fact
Yeah.
related to a specific thing. And it's a dispositive motion that'll like either win the case, lose the case. And it's typically after discovery. You'll have these, and so both parties have been able to exchange information. And so what the court found in this case is, hey, on these elements of the defamation claim, that is the falsity of certain statements, the fact that the statements were in fact statements of fact,
Oh, okay.
the fact
So
that
the
the
summary judgment just means that when they go to trial, then they don't have to argue about those three
right.
elements. They just
It's
have to
been
argue on the
established,
actual.
right?
Oh,
Like
okay, okay,
so we
gotcha.
granted summary judgment on whether or not there are in fact statements of fact, on whether or not they were in fact published to another person, on whether or not they were in fact false. And so you can't introduce evidence and you can't argue that the statements were substantially true because I've decided as a matter of law, since there's no issue of material fact here, it's just, I can look at the record and determine whether they're true or false, and me, the judge, I've determined they're false.
Gotcha.
And so the only question now is intent. And what the judge is saying is there is a issue of material fact as to the level of intent there, and that's I think pretty typical. Like if I think of what you might grant summary judgment on, maybe it's difficult to think like if you just claim, for example, that you didn't have a certain level of intent, how that doesn't generate an issue of material fact.
Yeah, of course. These are
You
obviously
know,
things that
yeah,
you would want a jury or a judge to decide after a trial,
right.
not like as a pretrial thing. Sure.
You might imagine a certain situation where it's like so obvious you've admitted it before on the record. Maybe you issue summary judgment for that. But like here, you know, it, even if one side is heavily weighted
You still want it to
because
go
there's an
before.
issue, yeah,
Yeah, of course.
exactly,
Yeah.
right. Where what they're saying is like no, like there's no issue about whether this is true or false. It is in fact false.
Yeah. Okay. Question: If you in criminal court, is there any type of like, okay, so if I run an affirmative defense, okay, I kill somebody and I say it was self defense. Are you allowed as the defendant to do this defense in stages, or do you have to like own the first thing and then move to the affirmative defense? So for instance, let's say I'm talking to my lawyer, okay, and I'm like, okay, listen,
Yeah,
they said that I killed this guy. I said I did it in self defense, but
yeah.
I don't even know if they can prove that I killed this guy beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
So
you're
can you
asking
say, so you
if you
can, yeah,
can
so you can start with the negative and say I didn't even kill the guy, and then if they get you on
even
that,
if I
say
did, it was justified.
even if I did, it was justified. Okay, because I thought I read for the in the Apple River stabbing case, I thought I read that. Oh no, I think it was just for when you go to prove the affirmative defense, that is only like a 51% thing. Is that true? Do you understand what I'm
It
saying?
depends on the state.
Sure. Okay.
So
Sure. Of course. Yeah.
different states have different things for like different affirmative defenses. In some places, you can, if you have like sufficient showing that there's a plausible case for self-defense, now the burden is on the prosecution to disprove it.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
there are different standards. In affirmative defenses in civil context, usually the burden of proof is on the person bringing it, but that's not always the case for criminal for reasons, and it varies. But yes, you can argue like arguments in the alternative. One problem with that is oftentimes the conventional wisdom is juries don't like to hear like those kinds of alternative arguments sometimes, because at least as it relates to factual circumstances, because they want to hear like one coherent
Yeah, it makes you sound fucking
kind of
Weasley,
story,
probably.
right?
Yeah.
You can offer arguments in the alternative legally to the jury, and even factually you can. But sometimes the practice tip is be careful doing it with the jury, because usually they think that it's like Weasley if you don't pick a factual kind of story.
This got all blown over by everything that had happened. But did you see the climax of the Alec Baldwin trial?
Yeah, that was insane.
Jesus Christ.
I have thoughts about it.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, my thought number one is this case should never have been brought.
Sure.
That's my first thought.
Wait, why do you say that?
Because I think it was not reasonable to think that Alec Baldwin acted with any kind of criminal negligence or recklessness in this case.
You really think so? Here's my counter argument. Because I think, I don't even want to say I agree with you in principle. I feel like basically every time one person kills another, well, no, is that fair? I feel like there has to be a very, 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 very high threshold where we're not even going to take this to court, just because obviously killing people is probably one of the largest interests that we have as these things not having it in the public, right? But you think there are times where it's just so, I understand what you're saying. Like, if you look at just like a reading of the facts, and it doesn't even seem like these are contested, the idea that the idea that he intentionally killed her is almost inconceivable. But in terms of criminal recklessness, I'm just trying to think man, if that was my mom or my sister and she got killed on set and the state says they're not even going to try him for negligence.
They tried the armor, right?
Sure, they did.
And that, to me, is where the culpability lies. Now, so that was my first thought. But you could disagree whether or not you think they should have brought the case.
Sure.
I think they should. And just as another example of alternative theories in the alternative, the defense had a theory in the alternative is that Baldwin didn't pull the actual trigger. But even if he did, it's okay. So that's just another example of arguing in the alternative. Mm-hmm. On the actual thing that happened, look, I think it's misconduct by the state, no doubt. And I think it's really bad what they did. Because it's really not up to the state to decide what the theory is of the case.
Just as a quick thing for people that aren't watching. So it came out at some point, I don't remember when, but it came out at some point during the trial that the state had come across evidence that I don't know if it would have been exculpatory, but it could have changed the way that the defense would have constructed their case, but the state didn't turn that evidence over. And the prosecution, I guess, was so eager to defend its practice or to defend what they'd done. That the prosecution took the stand, and it was not good. And after that same day, I think, after she'd heard, what is this called, a Brady violation? I think the judge dismissed the case with prejudice, and now it's gone. It's just completely gone. Dismissed the case, meaning that the case is completely dropped, and then with prejudice means the state can't try this same case again against Alec Baldwin.
Yeah. My take on it is essentially this was a Brady violation, and this was misconduct. I mean, the other prosecutor quit. So I don't discount that this is a Brady violation. I think it absolutely is.
Yeah.
But here's where the but comes in.
Uh-oh.
And I think that the decision to dismiss with prejudice was it's not like within the realm of unreasonableness, okay? I think it's reasonable minds might disagree. I don't have a problem with the ruling. That said, I don't think this evidence is the make or break thing. I don't think it's the most important thing. I understand. It reaches the threshold of material, but I don't know that if this is what someone for my server, shout out Piscord, said to me, and I thought it was really good.
Okay.
Imagine this were like a crazy, insane murderer that just killed, like you said, killed your mom or killed a family member.
Yep.
And on this basis, with this kind of, yes, it's relevant and yes, it's material, but it's really not the pivotal factor. Would you be okay with a judge in that situation dismissing with prejudice the case based on this Brady violation?
Yes.
Ooh, I'm not so sure about that.
Absolutely, and this is why, okay? And I'm borrowing from so much now. Two things. When Roberts talks about how it's so important to protect the executive, that we can't have criminal pride. So important to do that because we don't ever want them to second guess themselves while they're acting as president. And then with when Clark was talking to Rosen and Donahue, and they're like, that it's like policy that you can't go and talk to the fucking president, right? You know that you can't do this. You're not allowed to do this. And Clark was like, well, actually, the fate of our country is at stake here. And And Rosen says this is the most important time to follow protocol then, right? I think that the idea of the state not turning over evidence, I think it's the principle of it. It doesn't matter if if the evidence was material, would have well, it matters if it was material. It doesn't matter if how the defense would have constructed their case, or if it would have made a difference or not. But you want the state to always be invested in conducting themselves with the highest standard possible, because these are criminal convictions. I don't think you ever want the state to be in a position where they're like, listen, we've got the rules and we understand what we're supposed to do, but God, this guy is so fucking horrible. And we just need this one thing. We've got this one time, I think it's okay because we know this guy's so bad. I think that it sets things up for a really ugly precedent in the future, I think. Yeah. I am sympathetic though towards the serial killer that everybody knows did it, walks away now because the state decided that they didn't want to turn over some call logs, and they didn't even think those call logs would matter. But
I hear that. I think that the court has a lot of discretion to fashion a remedy, and I don't agree that in every Brady violation, even assuming it's material, the case should be dismissed.
What other remedy could there be? I'm curious.
You could exclude any kind of evidence that relates to it. You could maybe there's some kind of stipulation that you could make that the report showed whatever the defense wants it to be or something. Or I don't know what you could do. Right now, as I sit here, the other kind of remedies. The problem also is when it happened. So the Brady violation happened during trial, which is oof, right? You go into trial thinking that this is, you're going to prepare your case one way. I understand. I think it is absolutely prejudicial to the defense, 100%.
Real quick, how did it come up? Because I didn't have time to watch all of it. How did it even come up? Was this during questioning? How did they even know? How did the defense find out? Wait, what the fuck? You have this information? How did that?
I think, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was two pieces of evidence. One is the third version, a supplemental report of a firearms expert, which kind of reneged on a previous theory that was beneficial to the defense.
Okay, yeah.
So the second report I think was the good report for the defense, and the third one was bad. And they got that a week before trial or something like that. Some crazy thing like that. And then the second piece of evidence I think were
there were three bullets or something that
were handed over, and the prosecutor's well, yeah, I didn't think they were the same bullets because I saw a picture of some of the bullets, but the other bullets looked were the exact same bullets that were reused or something. Both very bad. Both bad Brady violations. And I don't have a problem with her making that ruling. I just think if it were any other defendant in any other case where the judge wasn't, I think, probably a little skeptical of the decision to prosecute in the first place.
Sure.
I think that it might be motivating something here.
Hold on, wait. To be clear, to be fair, hold on.
This is feels.
But to be fair, do you give any weight to when the defense was asking the prosecutor, is it true that you called Alec Baldwin a cocksucker?
Oh, I love that, yeah. So this attorney, he's from a really good firm.
Yeah,
his partner is at a really good firm, and I loved his cross-examination of her.
He roasted her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
If any of you want to see it, crazy good cross-exam, and my God, what a result.
Oh, and looking at, I have a lot of appreciation for people that can write well and can construct good things. One of the reasons why I like, regardless of whether you think he's got good or bad, decision making or whatever, Gorsuch, the way that he writes is very concise, very clear, very organized. It almost looks like he's writing a college essay every time. Hey, here's the 5 things I'm going to point out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's my explanation of them. Here's how this applies. Here's my summary. And he's really, really good at writing. That Dominion case with Fox. Ooh,
like that?
It was question. Do you agree that you should have done something? Yes. Did you have the ability to do something? Yes. Did you know about this? Yeah. And then the next slide is them talking about a text. Hey guys, we should do something about this because we know about this. And it's probably going to be really bad if we don't. Yeah. Every single one. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was brutal. I wish, I don't even know how I stumbled on this. I think we're just looking through links to the case and I found, because I would always wonder, is there a link to all of these texts that are dumped anywhere? Bro, it's
crazy.
It's
the worst.
It's everything. You understand? It is everything and more that the Republicans wanted from Hillary Clinton, that they wanted from Hunter Biden, that they wanted from
everything's a smoking gun.
It's literally them say and it's crazy because it goes against my I think some people just really bought in. Are you familiar with the Brain Room?
The Brain
Room. So Fox News has fact checkers behind the scenes called the Brain Room, where they fact check everything. They're really good at it, apparently. And they're fact checking everything. So behind the scenes, they're trading emails hey, this is bullshit. Hey, there's no evidence for this. Hey, we can't do this. And then the emails back and forth like, okay, but like, dude, the ratings, they're really good. We know that we shouldn't have and they're saying it. Yeah, there's no wonder. After reading through the depo, I'm like, yeah, you obviously they settled this because the actual malice is in like every other email. They're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't do this, but like the ratings are really good, so we're gonna go ahead and push it anyway. It's like, bro, why are you emailing us on a corporate email? What the fuck?
It's actually insane. I've tried. I'm bringing this back to the immunity. Sorry, I had to put some garbage down a chute.
Oh, we thought you were pissing.
No, I would never do that. I have bringing it back to the immunity decision. Have like an open invitation to any conservative lawyer to try to argue that the assassination thing is not covered by the opinion, and it is completely. Every time I bring one of these lawyers on or a layman, they fall apart in like a second. I brought on this quote unquote former election expert.
Oh God, yeah, I saw on Twitter.
Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't watch the video, but I saw on Twitter, and I already knew he was a fucking retard. But I heard you cooked him.
I'm going to give you. You don't have to watch it. Just for your consideration. The first 20, 30 minutes of that conversation, I think if you watch that, and I actually maybe I don't want you to watch it because I think you'll become more radicalized. But bringing it back to the Fox, it's crazy that when in the assassination hypotheticals, people are like, that's so absurd, right? Like, this is so far from what it is to prosecute or investigate to kill someone, right? But like, look at what actually happened behind closed doors.
That's why I reread like 6 pages. Yeah, and I highlighted like all this. I'm like, just so you guys know, every single thing that I'm about to read, all of this is an official act, okay? That's not my opinion. It's not presumptively immune.
That's the direct holding.
Yes, that is the direct holding, the direct statement from Roberts is that this behavior, and the behavior is, bro, oh my God. Reading it is it's just hilarious. The Clark having secret meetings with Trump, this environmental dude who's like running back to fucking, to Rosen and Donahue, and he's like, and Clark writing that letter, and he's like, hey guys, just so you know, I wrote a letter that we're just gonna tell all these states that we have big investigations. Can you guys go ahead and sign that? And also right before you sign it, can you promote me and bring in this other dude?
It's insane. It would be like
it's wild.
Yeah, it would be like me like writing the managing partner of my firm, be like, hey, can you sign this thing that signs us on to some crazy conspiracy theory lawsuit?
Yeah.
It would be so inappropriate to jump the chain of command.
And actually, I don't even know if that would be comparable. I think you would maybe even be in a better position depending on what you do for law. Because keep in mind, this guy he's just like the environmental lawyer fucking dude, right? That's it. He's going to the attorney general and then the deputy attorney general to tell them to write about like what would or almost like criminal investigations. Like, yeah, dude, Hirschman's deposition. There's like 200 pages, but oh my God.
I read some of it and it's referenced in the Jan 6 report.
It is referenced, but if you ever have time, bro, it is some of the funniest. He's like, oh shit. It's just so fucking hilarious. He's talking. He's like, so he's talking about how like Clark is like in front of all of them in this meeting, and Hirschman is talking. He's like, I guess Clark saw his like opportunity to be the attorney general, and this guy's trying as hard as he can, but this guy's a fucking joke. And Hirschman's shouting, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, we'll call you when there's an oil spill, dude. Why do you think you could be the attorney general? It's just fucking hilarious watching him cook the fuck out of this dude. But no, it's like it's fucking wacky. But anyway. Yeah, there's like 6 whole pages of like insane conduct, and I just just remind every page, just so you know, all of this is beyond criminal review now. Like this is completely unquestionable because it is an official act when the president of the United States talks to an inferior officer and tells him to bully his bosses to write criminal emails.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. You can't even use it as evidence.
Correct.
You can't even use it as evidence of intent or knowledge, right? So just so you guys are aware, it almost certainly will be the case that the special counsel will not be able to make the argument that we've made that is like, well, Trump had his best people on it and he was investigating the claims and AG Barr told him that this was fake. How can we bring that into the case? So how are we going to prove that Donald Trump knowingly did a falsehood, right?
Oh, and not only that, yes, yeah, because we can have that, but not only that, but if Trump is behaving in some ways that is like at least reviewable, or at least we can ask questions about it, you cannot ask questions of motivation. So let's say that, So it's like, so even on things that you are allowed to ask a question about, if you're trying to make this determination of like, well, does this count as an official act or not, or what do you get? You can't ask motivating questions about that because that would be improper. Yeah, it's unreal,
and just so people who are aware, because you hear this a lot, it's like, it's motivation, it's not intent. Motivation is different than that. Yes, I understand. Motivation is different from intent. But on page 18 or 19, I forget which it is, it says that what is official and what's unofficial is not determined by reference to particularly generally applicable statutes. What is criminal intent other than a reference to a general statute, right? Like,
sure. And then also, just to be clear, real quick, just to remind every single person who says, when you talk about official or unofficial or core or whatever the fuck, all of these are new terms that were just invented by Roberts, okay? Yeah. You're not going to open a fucking law book. You're not going to go to some historical document and figure out, oh, okay, well, these are the core powers of the president. These are official. These things did not exist before a few months ago, okay?
I will just say, and just because yesterday I was scolded by someone for not giving the counter arguments in real time, and so I'll do that. I'll say, there are references in a case called Youngstown to this kind of, so they're borrowing the language from different cases, and they're sort of transplanting it in a context where it doesn't belong, in my opinion.
Why? Is this another civil? I do remember Youngstown being brought up a few times, but...
Youngstown is when the president, like, he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to seize some steel mills. And he just did that. And
they probably tried to do civil movements against him, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, there's been very little ever lawsuits against the president himself. It's almost always against, like, his agencies. And so we really don't know. And the court pretty much just says it, like, we don't really know. We have this Youngstown's case about seizing the steel mills, but that's about it, like, in terms of what is a core power. And that's only in the context of an, like, trying to seek an injunction for the seizing of a steel mill.
Do they use that language of core power in Youngstown?
They cite to it, yeah. I don't know if they use it.
I just control F. I don't see core power. I don't see core ever used in this fucking case.
Do they say conclusive and preclusive?
That might be where they borrow that from, conclusive and preclusive.
Yeah, maybe not core. But yeah, I agree that they're just, like, making shit up and trying to, I don't disagree with you, man.
My number one irritation with that, and maybe Roberts could have convinced me, maybe. My number one irritation, though, is just when he says, if the president enjoys civil immunity, then obviously he would enjoy criminal immunity because criminal penalties are worse than civil penalties. And that is, and it's like, that is true, but deal with the other half, that we have a greater interest in prosecuting crimes than we do civil disputes. But the fact that that's not addressed is probably the number one thing that bothers me. That, and for all the people, oh, bro, I think reading multiple decisions is what mind fucks me the most, because then the hypocrisy is on such full display, right? If you are so concerned with not having a patchwork of laws, or if you're so concerned with monitoring the temperature of the country, or if you're so concerned that the writings of those on the court, as as Amy said, right, if the writings of the court aren't supposed to turn the temperature of if you're so concerned with that, why wouldn't Roberts at least write a little indicta or whatever about the Navy SEALs thing? Why not write a little, or have a concurring opinion where Gorsuch, okay, one of your good writers, where Gorsuch can write, like, I know that people are concerned about this. He doesn't even have to say that the president is not allowed, but he could give a little bit of guidance. Why would you not do that?
About that? Just give me a second. I'm going to leave for a second. Go.
I annihilated him. Wow, you speak fast and nothing at the same time. It's amazing. Versus who? I speak with more substance than any other fucking retard you listen to. I promise, okay? Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. A 25-minute Turkey Tom video. We'll see. Come on, doing extreme discriminatory. Got too much going on. Maybe we'll see. I need to do more writing today. I need to be writing a bit more aggressively. Okay, we're not making good progress. I'm working through my emails and shit right now. But what's happened recently? Do you think you might rethink your stance on the Electoral College?
Hey,
Probably. Hi, what's up?
hey, okay, this is what I have to say about the not addressing the hypotheticals bit. They absolutely could have. There's an argument that, well, it wasn't before them, and so the court can't give advisory opinions.
Which is,
but if you look at note 3 of the opinion, Roberts addresses a hypothetical by
in the dissent.
Tony Barrett.
Yes. Or, well, that's yeah. But he addresses the dissent multiple times too, and the dissent brings up the Navy SEALs thing. So why would you not address it?
Yeah. Well, the argument is, well, you can't because it's not part of the case. But what I'm saying
excuse
is,
me. Didn't we read a whole last concurring opinion by Thomas that gave the dipshit in Florida carte blanche to dismiss? What the fuck do you mean? Because it's not before the court, right? What do you can write whatever the fuck you want. You're literally a Supreme Court justice.
But also in that very opinion, the bribery example is almost a worse example for Roberts to deal with because bribery is textually enumerated in the Constitution, and it explicitly contemplates charging a president for bribery. And so he has to deal with that one. Otherwise, he'll look totally unhinged. But
and his way of getting around it is so stupid, where he's like, well, you know, the record of him doing the bribe will be part of the public record. What the? Oh, my God, bro.
It's the dumbest thing of all time, yeah.
What does that even mean, actually? Part of, like, it's in a newspaper? Or what?
That an act was taken, I guess.
Yeah, but like, well, no, not. But it has to be part of the public record because you can't criminally probe on it. Like, so I don't even know what he.
I honestly don't even know what the hell he's. I mean, I guess you could look to newspaper records that there was a pardon, I guess, but you couldn't like say more about it, I guess, or talk about what led up to the pardon, right?
Yeah, it's.
How you doing though? You okay?
Yeah, just reading. I got a little bit of a headache today, but you know, reading and writing.
Yeah. Well, man. Best of luck. I encourage you. I'm going to send you this talk. I think you'll really like the first 20 minutes, and I think you'll become more extreme. And I've decided to give you at least that.
Oh no! Extreme on what?
Against Trump supporters. It is the most because this guy's saying. He starts the conversation by saying, with me, all elections are illegitimate in America.
Wait, which guy are you linking me? What's his name?
His name is I call him Froggy. I think his name is the Watch Frogs. I'll send you the clip. Don't worry.
Okay. I already tried to. I think I made it like 10 minutes through that Eastman video, and I'm like, this is fucking retarded. I can't even.
No, this one, you're going to lose your mind. But
who is this guy in relation to Trump? Who was he?
No, he's the election expert. Remember you talked
to someone, the guy. Okay, yeah, I got you.
No, but sorry. He's not an election expert. Mm-hmm. He's a former election expert. He makes very clear that he is not a current election expert. He was just an election expert 8 years ago when he was 22.
Which means that he like worked in an office that did emails that communicated with the state.
You're gonna have to see it. I'll send it to you. All right.
Okay.
All right, mashallah.
Did you say mashallah? I'm just kidding. $25 emails. I put the PKDA thing in my title we'll do an hour and 20 minutes. Secular talk reacting to your peers' debate. Oh man, I feel like literally no matter what he says, I'm gonna hate it. I feel like if Kalinske agrees that my rhetoric was okay, then I'll be like, bro, your rhetoric is crazy all the time. I don't even want you to agree with me. Or if he chastises me, I'd be like, oh, you're carrying water for conservatives. I don't think Kalinske carries water for conservatives though. He's just super anti-establishment. Anna Kasparian, my God, what's going on with the tweeting where you're like, oh, actually, actually, it was a really good speech. Why? There's this guy. People told me to talk to him in the past. There's this guy that I see on Twitter, okay? I'm seeing through the matrix, and I can't tell. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? He's this guy who's like, sometimes he writes things where I'm not sure. Other times he writes things like, oh, this is based. And he genuinely feels like he might be a guy that forms his own thoughts and doesn't just buy into some either Democrat, Republican, or establishment anti. Oh yeah, that Richard Hanania guy. I can't tell though. I haven't dug into him yet. Remember when Anna and Kyle seemed to be on that small liberal arc? Yeah, I don't know what happened. Hanania is a big race realist who hides his power level. I don't know what that means. I have to see stuff myself, unfortunately, because people might call me a race realist. I don't even know what that. I don't know what that means when people say that. He melted down over Sydney Sweeney's boobs. Holy shit, those are some big boobers. One sec. Do you think you burned too much goodwill by being pro-Israel for the lefties to stand up for you, or do you think they would have never done it from the start? I think some lefties, supposedly Vosh said some nice things. I think people will just defend whatever they feel is like current. So like if a whole bunch of people are saying like, whoa, Destiny attacking conservatives, that's based, then I think people like Vosh and maybe even Hassan be like, yeah, Destiny's like pretty cool here. So I think people just follow the fucking currents of political thought. The case for Sydney Sweeney being right-wing is pretty strong. You would expect a young actress to be liberal, but in this case, there's a good amount of countervailing evidence. She grew up in Northwest Idaho in a religious family. Her family turned out to be a bunch of MAGAs, with her dad wearing one of those blue line flag shirts. What is it? Wait, what do we... Why is he writing this? That's why this discourse has hit such a nerve. They have to pretend not to care. That tweet is obvious satire if you read his blog, but no one reads his blog. Oh. Okay. Destiny thinks he can attack conservatives and face no consequences. Why cry when you called the wolf? Who's crying? You realize you're the one that's crying, right? Have I cried? What am I crying about? What do you think about this Kamala speech? How do you respond to the argument that over the last 100 years, the executive branch agencies have ballooned in influence and power, while the head of the executive branch, the president, has been neutered? Anytime anybody makes a general statement like that, I want to hear, give me a specific statement. I need like specific things, like in what ways do you think it's been not good, and what ways do you think it's been good? It can't just be broad general bullshit statements like that.
So some of you may...
I'm sorry, not to say you're just making a broad general bullshit statement. I'm sorry, maybe you're not, but I'm just saying I would need more examples.
So some of you may have heard Donald Trump's running mate deliver remarks at the Republican National Convention. He talked about his life story about growing up in Southwest Ohio, and it was compelling. It's a compelling story. And it was not the full story. Frankly, what is very telling is what he did not talk about on that stage. He did not talk about Project 2025, their 900-page blueprint for a second Trump term. He did not talk about it because their plans are extreme and they are divisive. In recent days, they've been trying to portray themselves as the party of unity. But here's the thing. If you claim to stand for unity, you need to do more than just use the word.
Wait, you need to use the word?
more
What?
than just use the word.
Okay. Wait, what is this schizo fuck email? Hey, Destiny, I missed your VOD last night, but I heard you were freaking out over how your Twitter feed is mostly bots. I can't speak to Twitter, but I've created nearly 30 to 40 accounts on your Reddit and Discord over the last few years where I LARP as a MAGA. This is going to sound bizarre, but I'm a total liberal. I do this because all of my friends are MAGA, and they are constantly bullying me and provoke me into debates, and I found the most efficient way to respond to them is to copy-paste their arguments and just post them into Discord and Reddit in order to get quick, well-researched responses, because your community is so smart and well-read. I basically outsource my thinking to your community, and then I send their responses back to my friends, and the cycle continues. It's lazy, but I do learn a lot in the process. My friend is very racist, so I frequently get banned from your community, pasting their replies, and have to make a new account. That's why I'm up to 40 accounts now. Obviously, they are used sequentially, not all at the same time, so it's probably not a big source of traffic. I'm now IP banned from Reddit, so I can't even make new accounts anymore, so I'm mostly just posting your Discord.
Word. You cannot claim you stand for unity if you are pushing an agenda that deprives whole groups of Americans of basic freedoms, opportunity, and dignity. You cannot.
I would never do politics because I don't enjoy it, but it would be enjoyable to win at the game of politics. From like a competitive perspective, I wish I could give advice. I wish I could give advice to the people that do these speeches or talk to the speechwriters. Saying Project 2025, I don't know if that has a strong enough impression in the minds. You need to tie this to a policy plan that's bad, right? So every time she says Project 2025, she needs to say they want to take away your overtime. Republicans don't want you to get paid overtime. That's Project 2025. They need to tie these things instead of just, because nobody cares 900 pages of policy, bro. Even Republicans don't even like policy anymore. You have to tie it to something. And when you don't do that, it's not sticking in people's minds as strong as it could be. Somebody says keep watching. Oh, maybe she does it exactly. Okay. Fuck her.
I claim you stand for unity if you are intent on taking reproductive freedoms from the people of America and the women of America.
Oh, okay. She's getting into things. Sorry. Okay.
Trying to ban abortion nationwide as they do and restrict access to IVF and contraception.
There you go.
As
Okay.
their plan calls for. You cannot claim to be for unity if you try to overturn a free and fair election and threaten to terminate the United States Constitution.
There you go. That's good. Yeah.
And you cannot claim to be for unity when your entire economic agenda is designed to prioritize billionaires and big corporations over the middle class.
Okay.
We're too busy watching what you're doing to hear what you're saying.
Okay. One thing, I don't know if there's like a speech thing, if there's like a singer in here. There's a thing that, I don't know how much this plays into people's psychology or whatever. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it does. I'm not sure how much like gendered stuff plays in. When men are trying to project, I feel like it sounds better than when women are projecting voice sometimes. That like, I don't know if I have a deep enough natural voice to do it, but like a guy can talk and a guy can have his voice and blah, 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 right? And a guy can talk and he can do this and it sounds like cool and masculine because it's like your chest voice, right? But I feel like when women are projecting or when they're trying to raise, I don't know, it's because they're scared to show up more emotion because they'll come off as like bitchy or whatever. Something happens, and when they're talking, they get even more and more into their head, and this is how Hillary Clinton talks, and this is how Kamala Harris talks, and it's like this type of voice, and it just sounds very. I don't know if I've got like the subliminal sexism, or maybe people don't think about this or don't hear this, but it was the same thing when Hillary spoke as well. That it's just kind of like, I don't know if I would call it monotonous or head voice versus chest voice or whatever, or shrill or something. Yeah, there's an issue. God damn it, Pete is such a good speaker. Bro, I don't think people like Pete because he's gay and because he's like an intellectual or whatever. I love Pete. I think he might have been my preferred candidate. I think he was in the primary. Bro, Pete is he distraught. What are you linking here? Okay, yeah, I watched this this morning. He's a smart dude. He's very effective rhetorically. Yes, he was. You loved him. Yeah, he's a really good everything. Damn.
I know there are a lot of folks who say, what's going on with some of these Silicon Valley folks veering into Trump world with J.D. Vance and backing Trump? What are they thinking? Silicon Valley is supposed to be, they're supposed to care about climate. They're supposed to be, pro-science and rational and libertarians. So normally libertarians don't like authoritarians. What's up with that? I think it's actually, we've made it way too complicated. It's super simple. These are very rich men who have decided to back the Republican Party that tends to do good things for very rich men. And by the way, that's...
The rest of the interview was really bad. Oh, okay. I only watched those clips, huh? But he's good at like making things like very bite-sized and.
That's kind of what you're getting with. That's kind of what you're getting with JD, right? So I knew a lot of people like him when I got to Harvard. I found a lot of people like him who would say whatever they needed to get ahead. And 5 years ago, that seemed like being the anti-Trump Republican, so that's what he was. Talked about how he was unfit, how he was cynical, called him an opioid, which is kind of a weird thing to say about a person, but definitely a really... But I mean, for somebody whose identity is that they're connected to Appalachia, which has an opioid crisis, that really is the darkest thing you could possibly say about Donald Trump, at least in public. But behind the scenes, apparently, he's actually calling him Hitler, right? Seriously. 5 years later, the way he gets ahead is that he's the greatest guy since sliced bread. And I actually watched this exact same process with somebody else I got to know in my days in the Midwest, which was my former governor, Mike Pence, who I watched start out as an evangelical Christian who cared about rectitude and family values, and then get on board with a guy who was mixed up with a porn star, make excuses for him, so that he could have power. And then he did. He got 4 glorious years, I guess, as vice president of the United States. And it ended on the west front of the Capitol with Trump supporters proposing that he be hanged for using the one shred of integrity he still had to stand up to an attempt to overthrow the government.
Right.
So I guess, maybe not as a politician, but as a human being, what I'll say is that I hope things work out a little bit better for J.D. Vance than they did for Mike Pence.
I also think you need to ask conservatives, and it should be asked for Trump, why aren't you running with Pence again? That's an important question, too. Have you read the responses to a Trump assassination tweet? Oh, yeah. Holy shit. There are a lot of presidents that run with different VPs. Like in the past, Destiny was looking at the other day. Wait, there's a lot of presidents who won their election who run with a different vice president? How many times has that happened? Karen and I are praying for President Trump and urge every American to join us. You are a traitor to this country. Maybe you shouldn't have betrayed him. FDR did it 4 times. He swapped every time? Damn. Sir, on behalf of every American, fuck you. Screw you, traitor. You're directly part of the you're part of the establishment who allowed this to be perpetuated. You were directly complicit. If you had done your duty on Jan 6th, we wouldn't be in this awful mess. This would have been prevented if you did your job, you piece of shit. Jesus. Planning on covering the ICJ ruling at all? No, not right now. Is that going to be misleading because in the old days, the vice president would just whoever the second most amount of votes? Wait, is that true? I don't even remember that. Vice President, USA, second most amount of votes. How many elections was this for? In the beginning? What do you use to track your sleep? Oh, I have an Apple Watch thing. Sorry, I wrote that down. The individual received the next largest number of votes became vice president. Huh. Wait. Oh, never mind. Okay. I was going to say, that seems to directly be in opposition to how the founders imagined the United States operate, right? Because they talked about the executive needs to be one solid guy who can just do things without being questioned, basically. But I guess your vice president is not co-equal power. Your vice president has to serve under you, so it's different, I guess. Why were you up so late streaming last night? I don't know. We were reading shit. It was funny as fuck. Why do you mention Qatar as an investor for Elon but not Saudi? Is Qatar known as malicious? I don't think that Saudi interests are... I think they're aligned with the United States at the moment. And have been for a couple decades, I believe. Since the 80s or 90s? I'm trying to think of when there was a big oil embargo in the... Was it 73? I don't know. Do you still plan to take a break like you mentioned in your schizo period? No, I'm fine. I've been reinvigorated. I have new purpose again. My hatred for Trump. Hasn't it weakened after Biden pulled out of Yemen? I think that was just fucked. I don't think anybody wants to stay with that shit. Do you actually support Kamala if Biden drops out? I'll support whoever the fuck the Democrats put up. But if Biden drops, it probably has to be Kamala. You should work on trying to change the Republican Party instead of fighting against it. We need a new wave of conservatives that aren't insane. Yeah, but I'm probably not. Even in a reformed conservative party, I probably wouldn't be a conservative. I like where the Democratic Party is right now. I wish there was a better conservative party, but I don't. Even if there was, I wouldn't be a part of it. I'd prefer them to the current. Please, stream disagreements. What? Okay, hold on. Why exactly do you think there are so many Republican representatives bending the knee to Trump and essentially completely dismissing all the January 6th shit as well as their own morals? Because if they don't, then they're completely out of office. You can't go against Trump. You have to be on his side. What do you want?
Sorry, say that again?
Hello, hello?
Hi. What's up?
Wait, where are you from?
Why are you asking this?
Because you have
So
MAGA
weird.
in your name and you sound like you're fucking British or something. What the fuck? Why?
I literally don't sound. I sound like I sound American. This is an American accent.
Okay, me too, brother. Yes, talk to me. Okay. My
Okay,
fellow
anyways.
American, yeah.
Sorry, I got like butterflies in my stomach. Just give me a second.
Yeah, you're good. No worries.
Just like ask me like a question. Just get me comfortable.
What's your favorite video game of all time? Of all time. Not like what do you play now? Of
All time?
Wait, and how old are you?
I'm 22.
Ugh, you're gonna. It's like,
Why is that?
You
Why
can't,
is that?
no
Why is
Roblox
that
and no
that
Fortnite because you don't even play video games. When you're 22. You play
Roblox
these
and
weird...
Fortnite. What?
Jeez. Yeah, go ahead. Give me an answer.
My favorite video game.
Of all time.
Minecraft.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Nothing.
No. What the fuck? We're here. It's time. No
Why?
more-
Why'd you pull me in here? Why am I here?
Weren't you the guy in YouTube chat saying stream disagreements today? That guy had MAGA on his name.
No.
Well, you're in the
a
disagreements
voice
channel. What are you doing in there?
I thought I was in a voice channel. I don't know. It was disagreements. I didn't fucking know. No one fucking told me that.
Well, you know, it's kind of written in English above the
Like,
name of your... Okay, be careful. Minecrafter. What do you want? Are you the one in YouTube chat spamming disagreements?
No, I'm not the one spamming.
Okay, well, what do you want?
Before I just start with the disagreement, can I just really understand your position on the strategy going forward on trying to, like, you know, actually prevent Trump from going back into the White House?
I don't know. Damn, that's a whole thing. I'm just saying, for me personally, I just think Republicans should be held accountable more for the crazy shit that goes on, and don't let them get away from not being held accountable for that, basically. Brother.
Okay. Maybe I could just, like, provide a little insight. I'm a cybersecurity engineer. I look at things very tactically. I think, like, people in the Discord have been very split, kind of just like, oh, do you agree with Destiny's, like, you know, rhetoric? Do you not agree? I feel like we all should just try to come up with a strategy, because at the end of the day, it's the battleground states that matter. And there are some individuals who are a little bit undecided, but leaning towards Trump. That I think, like, from the cybersecurity perspective, the reason I brought that up is because you have, like, a 0-day exploit right now with, like, this Trump immunity shit and, like, the election fraud. But you gotta deliver it, right? We need to have the right delivery method. And I think, like, just, like, trying to bust down, like, their whole dynasty and just, like, try to just shoot and spray everywhere, probably not the best way to go about it. What do you think?
I don't know. I think that the issue with, I think that if you have a big way to fuck somebody over, if you've got a big 0 day, you want to do as much damage as possible, as quickly as possible, because if you, like, you can't, like, do it slowly over time, because as soon as it gets discovered, it's going to be patched, and then you're fucked, right? The analogy probably doesn't fit anymore, but if I'm going to confront somebody, the goal, here's the thing, okay? You know what? It's a good question, okay? Okay, you help me elucidate this, or I can elucidate this now, okay? I don't want to have a conversation with a conservative and convince them that there was an insurrection and the insurrection was bad. I want to have a conversation with a conservative and show them that the denial of that thing for 4 years has been insane. That's the goal. So if I was just trying to show them that and say, oh, well, look, this is a bad thing, like, here, let's walk through this and blah, 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 then that would be the strategy. But that's not the strategy. I think the strategy needs to be, we've lived in this fantasy world where I've had to pretend that this hasn't happened for 4 years, and that's unacceptable. I need you to understand how fucking insane that is. And that's why the more aggressive, I think, posturing is needed, in my opinion.
Yeah. The more aggressive, so, not to, like, don't yell at me, but I do remember, like, a YouTube short, I can't find it anymore, of you, like, saying, like, both sides are not inherently evil. I think you're on Fresh and Fit, like, trying to talk to Sneeko. Both are not evil. They all have, like, you know, an idea for the country, but we're all just trying to get to the right place. We just have a different way of getting there. Is that destiny kind of, like, you know, gone? Are we moving on to, like, a different arc?
No, I mean, I still believe it, but the issue is that at some point it doesn't care, or I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. I don't care if it's just ignorance or if it's malintent, because at some point the end effect is the exact same thing, and at some point it's going to be treated as such, right?
Okay. So the way my whole perspective on this whole thing is, about 2 months ago, I visited back home. I haven't been home for like 8 months. I went back there for a vacation. I'm noticing that my mom, who was not political at all, is just starting to get real deep into all this political stuff. And I'm sitting down in the living room, and they're turning on the TV, and I just see the YouTube feed just filled with propaganda. And she's starting to just, like, say some of the rhetoric that they're saying, and I'm trying to use some of the points that you've taught me over the years. Like, hey, listen, this is incorrect, period. And I'm able to kind of convince her, and this is in a swing state, by the way. This is Pennsylvania, which I think has a lot of impact. And then I go to my uncle's house. He's saying the same exact things. So they're getting this rhetoric from these talking heads like Tucker Carlson, you name it, even Ben Shapiro. They're all kind of building a defense in-depth strategy around some of the 0 days we're building, right? Like the whole Trump immunity trial, they have their talking points for that, of how they justify it.
Yeah.
They'll say false flag claims. They'll say government involvement theories, election fraud justification, patriotic duty. These people were there. They're patriots. Like, they were just protesting. But at the bottom line, what I told her is Trump had them come there. They said stop the steal, these people have in their mind that the democratic process has failed them. The election has been stolen from them. When they go to a place, there's no peaceful protesting to be had. You have to put yourself in their psyche. They're trying to stop a steal, and voting is not an option.
Yeah, I've already
What's
said
the
this
other
before.
option?
Yeah, I've said that. I've done this exact same argumentation. Yeah, there's a reason why you hold up 1776. If you feel like the election's been stolen, you're not trying to peacefully protest. You're trying to insurrect against what you feel has already been a stolen government. Yeah.
Yep. So, I would say for
one of the difficult ways to deal with what you're talking about, because my parents have fallen into the same thing, is I can have one argument, and I've had arguments with my parents like, oh, you know what, these are pretty reasonable points, but I can only argue with them for 30 minutes or an hour, once a month, or if we talk more, maybe once a week or whatever. But they're inundated with all of the crazy news shit for 12 hours a day. So how can I? There's just no way I can't compete with that. I can't compete with that, right? For every time I deal with one conspiracy, by the time I talk to them, next week or next month, they've got 17 more that they've learned.
Here's an idea. So back to the whole 0 day analogy. We have the 0 day. We have the exploit. The delivery method. We need the right target. We need the most vulnerable systems. I would say those are the battleground states. Now there are ways to promote certain ads to those battleground states, and you could actually select certain demographics. If we create certain shorts or videos, maybe even start like a YouTube fundraiser or something, we could help you fund it, but maybe we could get some of those ads, some of these points with people who maybe could be swayed. Because going into like the rat's nest of Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder or Joe Rogan, I don't think that a lot of those viewers are really going to be open-minded enough. But maybe we can sway enough people in these swing states to at least prevent this madman from getting back into the office.
I don't know if I feel like it has to be debates. I don't think it could be ads, because if another ad comes up with talking about insurrection, I don't know if people care. I feel like it has to be a confrontational thing where you can see a conservative, like there has to be somebody squirming on the other end for it to be effective, I think.
Is there any way to kind of put that into an ad, or at least?
Well, but it's an ad, so you're inherently not going to trust it as much, right? It's just going to be advertisement, right?
All right. Something to think about, but
okay. Yeah, I'll keep it in mind.
All right. Thanks, man.
Love you. Have fun. Be careful. Hmm. 12 more DMs. Fuck me. I might have to step out for a moment. Dude, I have a killer headache. I just need ibuprofen. I need ibuprofen. Ugh. The content will be unleashed if Biden gets the